G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Trewin. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Helen Paas and Helen Maidre from H2 Resolve based in Estonia. Helen, you're in the city of Tallinn, and the other Helen's just moved out of the countryside.
It's a different way of living these days. First thing I went out and I watered my tomatoes.
Beautiful. Let's start with how we know each other. Marlon on your team reached out and thought you'd both be great guests to come on the cast.
So Helen and I, we met in a bigger company. I think we were first 100 employees in a company that's now like 6,000. We started on the same day. So they hired Helen's at once. And it was a bit confusing at first, but gave us a good name right now for our business.
Hence the H2, I get it now.
Yeah.
My one and only ever job out of university was at PricewaterhouseCoopers, now the largest accounting firm in the world. Halfway through my 3 years there, Pricewaterhouse merged with Coopers and Lybrand. But I didn't use my accounting degree, business degree in accounting. I've got 2 degrees, got a computing degree as well. I leaned on my computing side. So I was in a very small team of 8 people, and they happened to hire 2 Troys in the same year. And in a firm of 1,200 people in Melbourne, we're the only Troys in the whole office. And in that very small team of 8 people, there were 2 of us. It was very, very confusing. Our clients calling up and starting to talk to us and then realizing, sorry, you need the other Troy.
No, we actually had third Helen as well, starting on the same day. Same day. Yes, same day. We started the same day. So our leader back in the day he had a really good humor.
Yeah,
it was done on purpose. Yeah, it was done on purpose. Yeah.
Well, tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
We're a consultancy company back in the day, in the beginning of the year, we were thinking with Helen that there are a lot of small companies that are starting first to hire people into their companies. And we believe that employees are the most expensive responsibilities one company could ever have. And when you hire someone, you have to pay them their worth, definitely. And they shouldn't do any monkey work. So we were thinking that how could we solve the issue? And a consultancy business that can be outsourced is a good way of actually going with it, because this is what we do with Helen. So we're outsourceable source.
That's how we found that we should start a business together, because the company where we met, I think we both left 3, 4, 5 years ago, not at the same time. And then I did a string of jobs where somebody hired me for a full-time job to do what I do well. And I would do it amazingly for a couple of months. And then I would kind of just sit around my ass for a while, waiting for customer growth to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I could do the next big thing. And in the meantime, I got stuck with tasks that weren't really my thing, or I would just butt it into too many other teams with this could be improved and this could be improved, because that's what I do. I try to figure out how to improve your processes and automate your processes and customer communications. But it works better in stages. You hire me for a couple of months to build the thing. The other Helen, she trains your people, but then we have to wait around for the customer growth to catch up to do the next big stage. And unless you're scaling a 100+ company, it's a lot of sitting around, uselessly paying us full-time employee salaries per month, whereas you could be doing it in stages. And I was a bit fed up with working like that and sitting around. Got chatting with Helen, and we decided that, you know what? It's more useful if we do it our way, that we come in as consultants instead of having to hire an expensive employee too early.
Right. And so what service then does the business mainly offer?
So first, my part is that I consult when to hire people, why to hire them, what to do with those people and how to get them up to speed the fastest and the best. So how can you get your money's worth, and also in the other side, how you make sure that the person won't leave you and they will be also motivated to be with you to the very end.
Yep.
She's about how to get the best out of the people that you hire and how to choose the best people. I'm about how not to hire people. So it's like some people look at like, how can I get a big company? How do I grow? How do I grow my team from 10 to 100? I go about how do you grow your customer base from 100 to 100,000 with hiring as little as possible. So what systems can you use? What can you do to make your workflow better? What can you do, like, with AI coming out and LLMs? I'm like, my work boomed. Company I was working with, we had plans on like, okay, next 6 months we need to grow the customer support team from 2 people to 10 people. We stuck at 2. Customer growth versus people growth didn't have to match up anymore because little bit of people can take so much more work with automations now.
Absolutely. So that's a really interesting value proposition you have for your clients, the yin and the yang. Like you first, Helen, try to see if they can use systems and automation and AI, etc. So not to hire, and then if there is a need, then Helen, you obviously help them first identify what that role should be and what it needs to do and achieve. Because I had a guest on a few weeks ago who's in recruitment, and he is blown away. Even listed companies often just don't define clearly what it is they need in that role, and they mishire because of that.
Yes, and this is a very big problem actually that we saw as well in the previous company that we worked together, that we were constantly first we were under hiring, and then at some point we were over hiring, and then we were again under hiring. So it was also like there were so many things that were not considered and thought through. So this is because all the customer support, it came through me. So we hired like in 3 locations, Tampa, Budapest, and Tallinn. We hired 60 people a month for only CS. Other departments also hired. So they all came through me. Like I was the responsible person for all of their development since the day one until the day they left. And I saw quite a bit of that. The hiring should have been more. It should have had more of a filter, and there could have been done quite a bit more to avoid under hiring and over hiring.
And it would be nice to have people that have been trained how to interview people, because I've seen this so fucking much where people, like, you're interviewing somebody for a job, you should be judging them, you should be trying to figure out if they're the right person, and they just kind of trying to help them out. If an interviewee gets stuck on a question, they start prodding with like hints.
Leading questions, yeah, absolutely.
Leading questions, and like, selling your company so much with like monologuing about how cool it is, and you are learning nothing about the person you're trying to hire.
Yeah, I'm blown away. I mean, I like to say that recruitment's the most important thing a manager does, because if you fuck that up, you don't get an A player, you get a toxic arsehole or a B or a C player.
Yep.
Slows your growth down, makes your hair go grey or fall out, and as in my case. And it's, and yet managers, particularly in small businesses, even medium and larger, aren't trained on how to recruit well and properly. And often they'll just outsource it to a recruiter. And it's such a vital role, or part of that manager's role is hiring.
I had like very funny examples. I had a person who didn't speak English to be hired into English customer support. And it came out in training, and I was like, what did you do in the interview process? Like, what was happening there? Like, they don't speak English. Which was, and it happened. Like, some people didn't write. So yeah, it was also interesting.
there are interview processes where I was so surprised as to why are we asking the interviewee to show us around the room, like take your computer, show the this side, show under your table, and so on. Until the one time we found people all around. That it was 5 people taking the one interview, because some jobs they come with visas, so people do anything to get hired, and you are taking 5 people for the same interview. One maybe can't type if you have a coding exercise. Somebody's doing the actual coding work, but that person doesn't speak in English. So the person who's like a good communicator and has charisma is the one doing the interview, but all the skills are other people.
Yep. And how did you start out? Maybe go back, university, corporate jobs, any other businesses you've owned since H2?
So I came out of the school and then I went to the university. So I have a degree in natural sciences, biology, and geoecology. So I'm actually a scientist. So I've never worked a day with this. But during that time, actually, I started work when I was 14. In Estonia, it's very usual because we weren't very wealthy country. So not very wealthy country. So it meant that everybody were in the poor side, so everybody had to work. So I started working in a very cool restaurant. I stayed there for 6 years. I started at 17 and I left it like after university ended. And then I started my first company when I was 24, and I managed a sport horse stable. So we had 30 sport horses. We had a riding school, and that was an experience. Like at 24, I had no experience whatsoever to lead a company. So we did it with our friends. Like I had me and my 2 other best friends, and it was the worst decision ever. So the worst thing that happened was that the lines were so blurred. So we were childhood friends, and like the lines got so blurred with money, with all of the like decisions, and it was a freaking disaster. We ended up in debt and we did it only for 365 days. Like we had a lot of money going in and out, and a lot of horses. We sold them, we trained them, we did all that the normal stable does. But yeah, we ended up in quite a bit of debt and mental problems.
Yeah. So did you own the business outright, or they were business partners?
No, with business partners. We owned like 3 of us, like me and my 2 friends. And after that, I promised I'm not going to start a company with people I haven't worked together with before.
It's good advice. I'll share something with you both. Not many people know, but I'll share it with you both. I was in Pony Club growing up, so I do love my horses. I've still got the ribbons. Mum was living vicariously through me, I think.
Oh, lovely. It's lovely.
And so any other businesses after that, Helen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I went from there. I went to a small building company. So I built houses, wooden houses, element houses, and stuff like that. So I was there for a little while, and then I joined already a startup, and it was the Wise. So I joined when I was among the first 100 people.
Is this Wise the money transfer?
Yes.
Oh, they're huge.
The same one with the green card. Yes. They were huge. But when we joined with Helen, like we didn't know if we would have a job tomorrow. So we worked quite day and night. It was working in a startup it was 10 years ago when we started, actually this year, 10 years ago when we started. And that was a very, very cool journey. I worked there for 5 years, and I started as a customer support rock star, they called them back then. And in 7 months, I was the training coordinator, and I worked up until I was a global lead. the training global lead. Yes, how was it called? Jesus, anyway, the name doesn't matter. But I was responsible for everyone's development from zero to zero back again. Yep. In customer support and also in compliance. So I had I was responsible for few hundred people's development journey, and I also was consulting with the onboarding panel for the whole company. So there was a lot of things that I was doing back then, and the experience that I got there was so beautiful. One of the things working in startups is that everybody believes so much in the mission. They believe in people and they believe in your ability, even if they don't know you. And they don't.
That was wise. That's not everyone.
Yeah, that was yeah. Well, wise back, and it was so beautiful that I didn't have I had an experience from before training people, training horses, and these kind of things. But I didn't have a degree to actually train people. So this is a big thing in Estonia. You have to have a degree for everything, like to do the job. Which is I don't believe in this anymore, because I saw that with the determination you could actually reach very, very far. So this is my journey, and they believed in me, and like before I knew it, I was the global lead of training, and it was an amazing journey. My team was in Florida, in Budapest, in Singapore, and in Tallinn. So I was constantly flying around, and yeah, that taught me quite a bit about people.
And that was thousands of team members.
Yes.
Yeah. And what did you do the 5 years after that, up until H2?
So I have other dreams as well. So I'm actually a writer. I write fiction books, and I'm an actress as well, and I got a baby as well. Yes, that's also a big thing that I did in the past COVID years.
Yeah, right, COVID. And Helen,
yeah,
your journey, Helen?
Well, I did a bit of a different one. So I had big companies leading up to Wise, and then the past 5 years I did other stuff. But I am reminded with your pony talk and things that my first job pretty much was as a teenager running a I don't know if I would dare call it a currency exchange racket, but I was selling souvenirs in tourist places, and we had a lot of tourists back then, but we didn't have a euro yet. We joined the Eurozone a bit later. So we had all these cruise ship tourists come in with dollars and euros and pounds, and nobody had the local currency. So I just figured out, okay, well, if I convert this to like a dollar, it's going to be like 1.78. I don't have change, so it's going to be $2. And this thing that's going to be like 4.58, let's make that €5. It's like still one of the best paying jobs I ever had, because the amount of effort I put in and the money I got out, I was earning more that summer job than both of my parents put together by seeing that, okay, my bosses require me to sell in the local currency, but the customers don't have it. So I'll take what I can get, a bit of an exchange fee, and then change it to the local, pay my boss what I sold, keep the rest.
That's genius.
That was I was the teenage summer popular girl because I had free money. If I had had any brains or teachings at that point, because what Helen said, we were a very poor country at that point. Like when I'm cleaning my old country house that I just moved into in the countryside, I did that once before with like grandparents' house. I still find humanitarian aid packages with like canned meat and stuff. Yeah. We've done very well as a country since. We've really turned things around. That like the inflation is killing it a bit right now, and the salaries are it's not what it was when we were growing up. No humanitarian aid in sight. Tech heavy. So we had no financial knowledge of like, oh, I'm 16, I'm gonna put this money into like a index fund.
Yep.
But I had fun as a teenager. But then I went for working in corporations. I worked for Hilton. I worked for a big telecom company, and then I went to Wise. I actually took a pay cut going to Wise because at that point, at my more corporate job, I was doing quite well, but it was very corporate, and I had kind of seen what happened in Estonia with Skype and what looked like it could happen with Wise. I was applying to Wise and to like Bolt and Pipedrive and a bunch of different startups because I wanted to work in a startup. So I went for the entry-level customer support job. Took a pay cut, took a step down. But like the other Helen, I ended up leading a huge team of maybe like 60 people, focusing mostly on the UK market at that point, in a manner of like a little bit over a year. And then I did things there that gave me knowledge that I can pretty much do what I want. I think there's a quote that says, if you think something is impossible to do, then please don't disturb the people doing it. And there were days there that since when I've been working with new smaller companies, I do something that for me feels like a random Tuesday. It's just I do stuff. I was on the feedback committee for some master students' IT theses, or like the work you do when you're finishing. And I'm like, this is what you graduate university with? That takes you months to do? That's like, I never even studied IT, but I can do that in a week. So we went through the kind of grind work that gives you the belief that Helen talked about of you can do things because you just did them because nobody told you can't, or you don't have to ask 10 people for permission to fix something. And then when I've been going through the new company since, I do something in a couple of days and I get loaded with feedback of, oh my God, that's amazing that you managed to do that. I'm like, what, like it's hard? And that's got us into consulting because we want to do more of that on a faster scale than waiting for customer growth to happen in one company.
And what have you done since your time at Wise up until you both started H2 early this year?
I worked for a insurance technology company, which was fixing a gap in rental market and insurance kind of combo, where they hired me to build up a customer support team and build up the systems there. I think that was about first 10 employees. Right now, that company is, I believe, maybe 40 to 50 people. And I was there from, let's say, 10 to 25.
Yep.
So again, my job is to help it scale. And then I helped build a bank in Japan, which was culturally a completely wholly unexpected thing to do. I learned so much. And they hired me specifically for the reason that I am not Japanese, because Japan is very much built on rules. You can get people to do an amazing job, like they will do it so well, but they need to have a very strict guideline of what they're doing. And this was a starting company, so they needed somebody who would build these guidelines to be able to then hire people to do the job.
Yep, got it. So you started the business early this year, 2024. So how old were you when you decided to start this business?
Our age?
Yeah.
I think I'm older, so I'm turning 37 in a couple of weeks. And
but
Helen
we're
would be
both 36. No,
Yeah.
we're both 36 right now.
Okay. For a couple of more weeks.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think first company I started, I was 21. It was I do fire dancing and I build sculptures. I haven't done that for years because it's like takes a lot of time, but it's fun. A little bit of burning stuff. But that was when I was 21 and we wanted a legal entity to get paid for burning stuff.
And I know it's early days, you're about almost a year in, but do you have any key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business?
So we haven't hired full-time employees. We have like on retainer consultants and like marketing person and so on. But nobody has been hired for the company yet because we work on project based. We work as a consultancy for customers, and when we have a bigger project, we put a team together for that project with specific individuals who will be useful for that. And currently, everybody is on retainer instead of being full-time employee. So I would say like 4 plus us, so that makes it 6.
6. That's great. That's awesome growth in less than a year. When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
That was that success taught me I have ripples, and that shifted my mind in a way that I have never been able to go back to a person I was before that moment of success. Basically, I was the customer support on duty lead, handling the day-to-day emergencies, which rotated, like it was a weekly rotating duty. So I was like on emergency handling during the week of Brexit vote, and that it was a big thing. And these kind of politically big things cause fluctuations, big fluctuations in currency markets, and we worked in currency. And people have been able to use that in the past to make a lot of money. But if you're, Voice was a pretty big company at that point, but still not as big as it is now. So it was more vulnerable, and our customers were more vulnerable. So we had an inkling that this may go and cause huge fluctuations. So we had this meeting where I was involved because I was customer support on duty that week, making sure that we have enough people and so on. We had this crisis meeting of, okay, what are we going to do? How are we set up for this, and how can we manage it? And I remember standing up and going, I don't have the people. Like the kind of volume that this is going to create, I do not have the people to handle the calls. It's public holiday in Estonia, where our biggest support team people numbers are at. So we need to call them in from public holiday. We're not going to get enough people, and I can't handle the calls. So we're going to have customers who are panicking about what's going on with the money because the exchange rate dropped massively, or something happened. So I can't handle it. And then we decided that, okay, we're going to close pound route in and out for the next 2 or 3 days. And we crafted this communication that, okay, we're doing this to make sure that people don't lose hundreds of thousands of money, or okay, not hundreds of thousands. Somebody just making a transfer of 500 or 5,000, that's their current life savings, and they're using it for an emergency, and it drops in value like 20%, you are going to have problems. So we closed the route. And I remember seeing over the next 2 days where banks in England, like huge banks, hundreds of years of history, were doing the same thing. And they had copy-pasted parts of our message, parts that I had helped write.
Yep.
And that I have never been able to it's not like a huge success that I did a big thing. I did a small thing that rippled and had world huge impact. And since that moment, I've done everything differently because I know, I deeply know that what I do can change things in a large scale that I didn't know before. But that knowing cannot go back in the box. Once you have that knowing, it changes how you live your life.
Yep. And Helen, what about you? What does success look like to you?
So the success is that when I also went for an interview in a very big corporation that's also global corporation, so I'm not going to name it just in case. So I went for an interview for a competence lead, and then I had to do this homework for them, and they were really I had 8 interviews, and in the end it was the homework, and I did it for them. And then I did it as I would do it for any company, as a real work. And then after this presentation, they were speechless. They were like, "You actually," like, it was the weirdest say that one of the leaders said, "You actually know what you're doing."
Yeah.
And you actually you did it as you would like you are working here. It's like already you have worked here for quite a long time. And I'm like, well, it's not it's not quantum physics, but quantum physics is also something that you can apply in every single company. It's the knowledge. So it was one of this was one of the moments where I understood that, yes, I've gotten into this point where I actually do know all of those things, and I don't need to work in the company any longer. This was the knowledge. I don't need to work for a company to help them. I can exactly be as a retainer. So I think this was my latest aha moment.
And number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
So I believe you talk about NPS and get info here. What we learned this in Wise and implemented it after in other companies, that focus on the good stuff. Focusing all of your energy on the negative reviews, negative NPS score, that's basic hygiene.
Yeah.
That's where you figure out what's broken, and if it's really not working, your customers can't get through your conversion funnel, you're losing them. Fix the hygiene, but then look at the good scores. Look at the 8, 9s, and 10s. Like, see what's keeping the 9 from a 10. Why are people giving you 10s? They're the ones who are going to be your evangelist. They actually might tell their friends that, oh my gosh, this was amazing. Like, it fixed the problem I had. You should use it. And then put your time, energy, money, effort into that to make the 10s bigger.
Yep.
That's like, that will give you that kind of word of mouth that you cannot get by just taking care of your hygiene. But the companies tend to, oh my God, they gave me a 1, I need to fix that. That's like my biggest problem ever. It's not.
It could just be an unreasonable person as well.
Exactly.
How did you fund your business?
Our business, well,
we worked at Wise together early.
Yes. So you get what is it called?
Stock options.
Stock options. Yes.
This is lucky in that sense that company did really well. I mean, it's not all luck. I wanted to work for a startup for a reason, and I had 3 on my list that all did really well. But I think I went with the biggest winner.
Yep.
And I've tried working for startups since, and not everybody wins. So it's not a guarantee that you go for a work for a startup and you get your own funds to start your own business. You need to make a good choice there. As in, you hiring people or getting hired, you have a moment of reflection. Is this the best I can do?
I also like one of the suggestions, like we talked about, like what is the suggestions for starting companies, and my suggestion is also that make your product so good that you don't need customers contacting you. So like when customer contacts are starting to fluctuate, this is the moment of not hiring more, but fixing your product first. So this is another thing that needs to be done, because they don't want to talk to you. They don't want. Yes, people are a band-aid, and customer ultimately don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. On the previous note, the stock options, we do believe in this kind of like a bit of a gamble. So that's how we also get paid. If a company doesn't have enough money to be able to afford us, we take part money, part stock options. So if your company is something that actually could succeed big, then if you're in trouble now, you don't have the money to hire somebody of our caliber to get things done well, to manage scaling in the future better, like skip some mistakes in the beginning, then we are willing to take part money, part value in your company, because if we do our job really well, that's going to be good for us down the line.
Yep. If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
We don't have a specific industry. We help a lot of different industries, so that already gives us range and like helps us figure out. We do have enough funding to do what we want, so we've chosen to do this. So we are doing what we want to do. It's fun, like taking apart the problems a company has and making them go away, and figuring out ways to circumvent having to hire too many, or for Helen, how to hire the people that are capable. Because what I do sometimes, you need to have one really good person that then upkeeps it.
Yep.
Not an average person, a really good one. So you need to hire right. But
yep.
I like what I do.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
When you're doing what you really want to do and really love to do, it's really difficult to find. And at this point as well, we have combined 30 years of entrepreneurship experience with Helen. So it's really difficult to find.
No, it's not. We're just being polite. What is really stressful is customers you don't want to deal with. Like, in the beginning, this customer is gonna be trouble. They're gonna be really whiny about everything. They're gonna not want to pay right. They're gonna ask for all this extra stuff. But it's a good contract. It's a lot of money. So you're like, oh, maybe we should, let's take this. No. If you can at all afford to skip that customer, in the beginning, they're gonna be so much crap to deal with. Why are you taking that customer on? Don't do it. It's gonna be so much stress. It's just like, the polite thing is not to talk about it, but that's the most stressful thing in our job, choosing the wrong customer.
Yep, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Sales. Naturally, we're not very salesy. We're like, get straight to the point. Let's fix your problems. And if we're doing it in the Anglosphere and so on, there's like the small talk, and then our culture is so straight to the point, cold Nordic Vikings, and having to deal with selling stuff. I have a bot that does the initial selling, and we have Marlon for marketing and so on. But we needed the expertise because both of us were we're not salesy.
Yep.
I'm good at selling one-on-one. I can sell ice in Iceland. That's not a problem where I have one person one-on-one and it comes and the customer comes to me. That's not a problem for me. But
we do good things, so we know what we're doing. We're confident in that. But getting in the door, the cold sale, that I needed help with, and that's better outsourced to somebody who's good at that.
Have either of you read the Challenger Sale or Jolt Effect?
Nope.
I'll send them
No.
Their sales book.
Please do.
Yeah, that'd be great. The Jolt Effect, I think, Helen, you particularly like this one because during COVID, all the sales calls went online onto Zoom. So the authors who wrote the Challenger Sale 10 or 12 years earlier worked on a thesis. They wanted to understand why there are no-go decisions. So the theory was it's staying with the status quo, but they dug into the data, and what they did was they took 2.5 million sales calls from Zoom, or people having them on Zoom, various different industries. They put them through machine learning to get into the data, and 44% of the reasons were due to status quo. We're just going to keep doing the way we're doing it, but 56% were not making decisions because FOFU, fear of fucking up. A big decision, I've got to sign off, my name's on this, and if this fucks up, then I'm in trouble. So, and that's where a lot of salespeople pile on the fear to say, look, this special price is going away, or we're going to get too busy if you don't sign soon. Whereas piling fear on is the last thing you should be doing it with that 56% because it already got fear running through the veins of making that decision anyway.
That's beautiful.
I'll send it through to you.
Yeah.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
Lack of sleep.
Yep.
Yeah, the mental problems that come with it, like anxiety and well, poor health is definite. Like we can all take it together. Poor health that comes from living in a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not balancing it. I moved to the countryside for a reason. I want to balance my life more. Going out in the morning, sweeping the porch and watering the plants, it gives me something that I can't have in a fast growth company.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
Independence.
Yes.
Mm.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
That we need help faster because with us we have good skills on our own. We know what we're doing. We feel confident in that, but that's not enough. That sales and marketing and we were planning early on that we have all these great consultants that we want to work with and have given us their go to work with. That per project we bring them in, but just to sell our own business, these like Marlon, who got in touch with you, she's not on our project-based team of trying to automate someone else's business. She's on our get us out there team, and I did not think I needed that. I was too cocky. I mean, I do believe that this call does give an idea of my cockiness.
The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
It's just the small habits. You have to have very strong habits and very strong work ethic, because you don't need to work all the time. And this is very important. That make sure that you are managing your time correctly. It's like because if you're a solo entrepreneur or you're doing a small business, you keep on working all the time. So you need to have a different phone, different computer from your home computer, if it's entirely possible, that you turn it off, you shut it down, because working 24/7 will make you worse, not better. Having allocated time for work, this is what makes you great.
Troy, you're in Australia. Is it true that you guys just got this new law of the right to switch off, that if you don't answer your boss's calls in the evening, you're not in trouble?
Yeah, absolutely. But it only applies for businesses with more than 15 team members. But yeah, that just passed legislation a week or so ago.
Ooh.
So yeah, our business, like the small businesses, are still in trouble, and this is very, 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 very important. Work when it's time to work, and switch off when it's time to switch off.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few countries that have enacted that law. I'm pretty sure France was the first one, actually, because I remember years ago they said the right to access the internet was a human right. They legislated that as well, which was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, we have that, but we don't have the right to switch off. Although, if you went and sued somebody over it, I'm sure you'd win. But the work ethic is more.
Yeah, I don't think that in Europe it is actually an actual problem. It's more in US, I think, the problem that the boss, I haven't had boss calling me. Well, actually, it does. Sorry.
In startup culture, it happens.
No. When I worked in retail as well, they did call me during the night and said the other girl is sick. Come in 9 a.m. I was like, in 7 hours.
I read an interesting. I read an interesting article the other day. Australians have the average lifespan is 5 years longer than an American, and it's 1.5 to 2 years longer than someone from New Zealand, Canada, or the UK. So maybe you guys need to move out here.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the average lifespan. If you don't take into account all the nature trying to kill you.
I was about to say, yeah, we're the most dangerous continent on the planet, with the snakes, spiders, sharks, crocodiles, jellyfish, drop bears. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous.
And Estonia is, I think, in the top 5 least dangerous. we have nothing natural that will get you. Like you could pretty much eat anything. Okay, maybe just don't go hug a bear, but we're not gonna, seek you out. We're like somewhere in the forest. We have one big bad bear neighbor. That's our problem. But nature is great.
I haven't been to Estonia yet, but I hear it's beautiful, and it's certainly on my list. I've been to 30 countries, and that'll be in the next 5. I'm pretty sure I go to. And interestingly, just to finish off all the factoids for trivia night, there are no snakes in New Zealand.
Did they kill
St.
them all?
Patrick would love that.
No, just they couldn't swim that far, and they got really good border controls, I guess. Yeah, no snakes.
No, New Zealand, if you go to New Zealand, interesting factoid, you can't bring mud on your shoes. They will confiscate your shoes if they're too muddy.
No, they do the same here in Australia. Yep, they're very strict on
Oh,
that.
yeah?
Yeah.
It's the island thing. When you go to Bahamas and stuff, and so, as well, they have like search dogs and stuff that you couldn't have any biological material on you, and cruise ships as well.
There's 83 million sheep in New Zealand. The population's 5.5 million, I think. Very protective of their agriculture, yeah. One or more of these growth pillars standing in the way of you living the lifestyle you signed up for? People, strategy, marketing, funding, or systems. We have a free ebook filled with actions and templates on each of these growth pillars. Download for free from our website, growasmallbusiness.com. Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those things? I think perfect for you, Helen. On the recruitment side, you've got a lot of experience hiring people. Any advice there?
Hiring people, you have to be very clear on why are you hiring, who are you hiring, and what for, and what is their forward journey as well.
Yeah, what does success look like in that role?
Exactly. And another part of it is you have to pay them enough. Because like I said before as well, that the employee is the most expensive responsibility a company could have, and use it like that. And also hire people for their brains, not what their hand. Like if you have a thinking company, then, or online company, then don't hire someone who can type emails the fastest. Hire someone who can use their brain to maximize everything. And like in team settings as well, that it's very very difficult, especially in small companies, to hold the boundaries. Like I'm not your friend. I am your lead. And this is also one of the things that people are. It's okay to go for dinners. It's okay to go outside for team building, but leave alcohol out of it.
Yep.
This is one of what I learned early on. Leave alcohol out of it. If you're a lead, it's not a good idea to drink with your peers. It's not. It's definitely not. So this. You loosen up. You might you do stuff. I know it's a lot of like mask holding and stuff like that, but yeah.
There's 2 things I look for in recruitment. It's attitude and aptitude. They don't necessarily have to have a lot of experience, but if they're switched on and they can learn quickly and they've got a good attitude, good work ethic, that's more important to me rather than some of the giant CV with a lot of experience. What are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help the growth?
This is a topic we can do a whole podcast on.
Yeah.
To be honest, like that's yes. This is not a quick. Quick thing, but quick thing is have a good mission statement and get other people on it as well. Yeah. Get them believing your mission. That's
make it clear why you're doing what you're doing, because yes. if you're not clear on what you're doing, you can't teach your people what you're doing, and if they understand how they're actually making a change, you can always keep coming back to it. You can always keep coming back to the why. You can always keep coming back to this is why we're here. And it's an amazing filter that you can run decisions through. If you have a strong why, you can build culture around it. You can build decision trees around it. And you stop people from just executing random to-do lists.
Yes.
Are you doing what you're doing today that's going to get us forward to the mission? Or are you just doing the to-do list? Are you busy?
And apart from moving to the countryside, tell our audience how you've both handled balance.
I learned to say, because I can't say no, I'm a perfectionist. There's a lot of like I have had a lot of I have had 3 burnouts and a lot of therapy. Also, use a therapist, use a coach, get help. So this is definitely something you have to do. Yeah.
And how much professional development have you invested in yourselves, apart from the technical side of things, more on, I guess, running a business, growing a business?
When I stop learning, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. This definitely.
If you stop learning, you're old.
So yeah, I can say that my self development budget goes definitely over tens of thousands of euros. So this is definitely like over the years, I think it's 100, 200,000, something like that. And our education is free. Just saying,
Huh, right.
like this is just the so our education is free. So all the money that I have put in is from my own budget.
And have you had mentors or coaches along the way?
Yes. Actually, we're both trained coaches. I think we both went ICF, but we got coached in Wise. They got us coaches, and then when I left, actually, I went for a coaching program for a while, and then I've kept this up since. Like I study, but I also get coached myself.
Yep, great. And do you have a board of directors or advisors?
We've got, yes, directors not yet. Probably it's more going to be at one point we're going to step out of the company and become the directors ourselves, and then leave it to be run by people who want to make the day-to-day happen more, so we can focus on writing books.
All right, Helen, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think's the hardest thing in growing a small business?
I think this is the hardest part, is just starting.
Yeah, like that it takes a moment of like, okay, it's less safe, like living with uncertainty every day.
Yep. Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
Patty, Powerful. This is Patty McCord, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually say Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, because it's like 2,000 years on and it's still relevant for so many things in life.
How phenomenal is that book? I've read it. It's really good. Have you read Ryan Holiday's book,
Yes.
Stoicism, as well? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
365 Days of Stoicism, that one?
I did the journaling.
Yeah, okay, great.
You know, that got me rid of my fear of heights.
Right.
I got the right question in the right morning, and then I was up on a tower and I'm like, this is all in my head. And it just went away.
I was coaching a CEO yesterday, actually, who's a bit down at the moment. He's got a little bit of debt. He's got to hire a 2IC because he's finally realised he's not an executioner or operation person. So he's got a bit going on and he's a bit down. Anyway, while we're talking, I jumped on Amazon and ordered the Marcus Aurelius Meditations, the 365-day book, and sent it to him. So he should get that by the time this goes live.
Nice.
Because my dad gave it to me years ago and it really helped. It's just a great book. Something from Marcus every day, one phrase or saying. It's really powerful.
Mm-hmm. It's not a lot.
No, it's not. Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
At this point, my podcast is growing plants. It allows me to process things better, but I stopped consuming so much. I'm more into creating.
Yep.
And for me, it's like I don't listen certain podcasts. I learn like topics. I just go like I want to get to know more about this topic, and then I just go. So yeah.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
Well, easiest one is to hire us, because we will get your whole tooling in order. But if you're doing anything where you have customer communications, get off Gmail. Get into a professional email tool, and there's many you could take. Zendesk, Intercom, I could list tens. Get off Gmail, get something that is more data oriented with giving you a better idea of what your communications are about and what your customers really want.
Yep, good advice.
Also, just saying as well that in our homepage, h2resolve.com, we do share free resources in our blog about the tools as well. So if you have any kind of question about a certain tool, that we can definitely address it, and we can definitely write a post about that. But I think we have already some.
We have a section on tooling.
Tools.
Like you take the filter, you put on tooling, and you get a whole list of like what do you need when, and feel free to reach out, because we like getting like questions that give us like a bit of input on what to write about, of like, okay, step by step, what should I do to implement something?
Yep. Great. Final, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
Get help faster. You don't have to do everything yourself.
Yes, and for me, it's be patient.
Yep.
Be patient with yourself.
Thank you so much both for your time today. I really enjoyed our chat. Congratulations on the growth so far. I know you're only about a year in, but wish you well on the journey. Might have to have you back on a couple of years and see where you're at.
Yes,
that would be lovely.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.